We were already shooting the shit with Dean off air, and I'm super honestly, I'm scared to have you on, Dean, because I know you have some dirt on me. So I'm wondering where this is going to go, because usually when people hop on here, they give it to me, and then I feel bad about myself pretty much the rest of the day. So good morning to you.
Good morning, boys. You can bust my balls. There's a lot of dirt on me too, so I hope you didn't do too much research on me.
Everyone's got the nicest things to say about you, but everyone says not for air. So we got to know, what's Dean Evason like behind the scenes, man, because everyone raves about how you are just the man.
Well, just fun, obviously. Do a lot of stuff. I'm into a lot of different things. Very passionate golfer. I'm into the theater. I just love life, right? I mean, it's just you have fun, and family's extremely important, and friends, and what have you. But yeah, just try to live one day at a time, man.
I'm so curious, and like, you have this scowl look on the bench sometimes, and I mean,
Mm.
you could burn through Superman with that look that you have sometimes when that camera goes to you behind the bench. And then I'm asking Reamer about it. Reamer is a good friend. I grew up with him. He comes on our show every other week or so. And I remember last year, like, his career really kind of got going again. Well, like, he had a little bit of not a tough time in Boston, but it didn't go as well as he would have liked. All of a sudden, things are going really well in Columbus. They've gone really well this year. But I remember talking to him about, like, what is Dean Evason like to play for? Like, he looks like he's got this, like, that scowl. And he's honestly, the first thing he says back to me is he's a beauty. He's an absolute beauty. And I'm just curious, like, do people give you shit about that, or do they bring that up to you? Because, like, from afar, you see that and you're like, oh my God, like, he looks angry.
Yeah. Mainly my family. They're like, what the hell are you like? What are you doing, right? And then you don't watch back, obviously, those type of things when you're on the bench and what have you. But you get stuff sent to you and what have you, and you try to stay as calm as you can. But I've got a lot of fire and a lot of passion. I love the game, and I said before, I don't. Yeah, you want to stay calm on the bench, but why can't you get excited and be
Mhm.
emotional too? I mean, I'm jacked when we score. I'm pissed when we don't, and then we get scored on. So yeah, I mean, it's just. But as far as Reamer, I absolutely loved coaching him. And he sat out a few games, and then but he was a real good player for us here in Columbus. And the thing that I loved about him is that he was straight up. He was honest. He'd come into my office, why. I'd tell him our reasoning and communicate with him. And he had a great year, and I just love to see guys like that have success. Obviously, his foot speed isn't the greatest, but his mind is just absolutely incredible. And I hope he continues playing.
Dean, what have you been up to just the past couple months? We do have a lot of Columbus viewers that, chime in our live chat, and they're all wondering, they were kind of bummed to see you go, obviously. And, it's only been a short span here since you've been let go. And I'm wondering if you've stepped away from the game or if you're still dialed in. Like, how does that work, mid season?
Well, first of all, I just got back from Pinehurst. I've never been to Pinehurst.
Cool.
Played 6 days and six times in 7 nights. Blisters all over my feet. Walked every round. My back's all jacked up. So yeah, I'm going to the Derby. I'm trying to do stuff like that. When I got fired in Minnesota, I went to the Masters. Thought about going this week, but yeah, I try to do some stuff like that. I'm still here in Columbus. I filed for my green card, so I've got to hang out here in the States. But yeah, as far as hockey, sure. I mean, I'm watching all the time, right? I struggle a little bit to watch Columbus.
Yeah.
I did when I first got fired. I wanted to see how the guys, and it's still very fresh, and the
Yeah.
emotions are fresh, and you're both right. I don't want to see them win, but yet I want to see the coaches have success. But like, it's like a toss up, right? And but end of the day, I watch a lot of hockey. I'm really gonna dial in the playoffs. That'll be more the systematic stuff. I love to watch throughout the playoffs what teams are doing and why did this system beat that system. I don't get a lot of pleasure out of watching hockey unless it's like the Olympics or the World Junior or whatever. Then I can watch it as a fan. When I'm
Mhm.
watching now or last night, well, I watched a basketball game last night, but it's more systematic stuff. I'm watching like I'm not necessarily watching it in the passion of the game or the players or the skill set. I'm watching what they're doing in the D zone, what they're doing through the neutral zone, how are they breaking the puck out, what's their forecheck like. So when you get to the playoffs, that last team, which we've all done with the Florida Panthers, we've copied a lot of stuff from the last couple of years when they won the cup.
And are you sitting there with a notepad? Do you have your computer? Like, how
Yep.
do you like? I feel like some coaches, like I played for Bruce Cassidy for a number of seasons. And while that had its challenges, one thing I always felt about Bruce was like his brain was like an iPad. He could just like I don't know how it works so fast with that kind of stuff. But I'm curious for you, like, do you have a software you're using where you're cutting clips? Are you like writing notes down? Like, how do you go about retaining all that? Because it can be overwhelming watching 4 and 5 playoff games a night, especially in the first round.
Well, I think the important thing, and I do it at night. You wake up at 3 in the morning when you're coaching, and you think of a drill, or you think of you think of somebody you want to talk to that you want to touch up the next day because you thought he had a bad game or whatever. I just roll over and I grab my phone, and I have not a software, but in notes I just dictate into the phone what my thoughts are. I do the same thing sitting on the couch, as opposed to looking down and writing. You can just continue watching and talk into your phone, and then go over it afterwards. But I think it's an important tool, and important to do after you get fired is to one, look inside. Why'd you get fired? There's
Yeah.
tons of reasons, right? Like there's reasons that I'm not going to burn bridges about, on the management side and what have you. But there is reasons why'd you get fired? Like, why were we not performing well? Why did we give up the leads that we gave up? So you have to be accountable. You have to look at that, and then what you want to correct. And so, like, when I'm watching, like I said, when I get into the playoffs now, it'll be more okay. Maybe I should have switched my D zone up a little bit, or
Mhm.
maybe we should have did a little something instead of playing the 1-3-1, or what have you in the neutral zone. Maybe we should do something else. So I think that's how you go around, communicating, or writing shit down in on your phone, and then being accountable, and then making your adjustments when you do get that next job. And I know now, like when I was a younger coach, I'm always like, why the hell are they recycling all these old coaches, right? And
Mhm.
we'll give a guy, like, I'm coaching 7 years in Milwaukee in the American League. I'm like, well, give a guy a shot, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I get it now, right? It's
Yeah.
like, well, you've been through it. The league. There's a lot to this league as far as media and responsibilities, and in the spotlight and all that kind of stuff. I believe, and why you see guys like Pete DeBoer get the job, and what have you, and hopefully I get the next job. You're better off and you're prepared. You've gone through it. You have that experience, and you're a better coach. And I believe I will be a better coach when I get that next job.
Well, first off, you definitely will get a next job. There's no doubt. I don't
Yeah.
think in anybody's mind about that. And the other thing I'll say that I know you didn't and you don't have to is you're right. A lot of it is circumstantial. A new general manager comes in. It basically doesn't matter what you do. If you don't win a Stanley Cup with a new general manager, they're bringing in whomever they had in mind. So I think that's an important part of it is like, you're not putting the player personnel together. You're coaching what is being given. And I do think you're right. And that is why Pete DeBoer keeps getting hired. That's why you will get another job. Like, listen, that's why Bruce will get another job, because
Yep.
it's not like you are sitting at the top of the food chain and you're drafting the players you want, you're trading for the players you want, and then there's a level of command. And so that's what I know you're not saying, and that's what I'll say, and that's the circumstances that you're talking about, and that's why I think, yes, there's always an opportunity to get a new young coach in. Like, you got your opportunity after 7 years. Spencer Carberry, he didn't wait as long. He got it. Ryan Warsofsky, kind of had that soft landing into San Jose via David Quinn with him in mind as the next guy, and he's doing a great job, right? So there is new coaches getting opportunities, but we're not just going to push out good qualified people just so we can bring new people in. Like that's not, that's more of a like everybody gets a trophy, then the best people should get the jobs mentality, and that's never how sports should work, Johnny. And I know you wanted to follow up on something, but I wanted to add color to that because you left that open, so I'll fill the gap on that one.
Well, Dean, I don't know if you wanted to reply to that, but I did just want to kind of go into your coaching dynamics. Obviously, a friend of the show, Aaron Augustitis, who raves about you, he literally said, like, I would die for that man. And, I think what he appreciates so much is that everyone in your staff has a voice. And I know every coach is kind of different in the way that they operate, but I'd love to hear about your philosophy about how you kind of bring everyone on your staff in and, the way you make a coaching staff feel like a team just as much as the players feel like a team.
Yeah. First, Colby, you're bang on, and yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that kind of stuff, obviously, but that's a difficult part for coaches is that you don't get too involved in the personnel. You coach the team that you're given, right? You have input, but end of the day, did we want a couple other players? Did we try to get another player? Did we ask for other players and then not get? Yeah. So, but I think you have to separate as the head coach and coach what you have in your room, who the general manager, the pro scouts give you to work with, and then you have to mold them into a team and play the hardest that you possibly can each and every night. Johnny, my philosophy as a coach is that I try to create a team atmosphere within the coaching room, the same as we try to create that team atmosphere in the dressing room, that every player has a voice. And just because you're playing 6 minutes and Zach Werenski's playing 30 minutes, that doesn't mean that you can't have input or have an impact on the game and feel important and not have to sit on the sidelines. Okay, yeah, maybe you don't play as much, but when you get out there, you can do the exact same thing. And when you're in the room, you can say the exact same thing as Zach Werenski or Boone Jenner says in the room. If you're whoever, like a lesser player per se on your team. So that's what I've tried to do in the coaching staff is everybody has a role, right? There's a power play role, there's a defensive zone role, and you define them at the start of the year. This is your job. That doesn't mean the power play guy can't have input on the penalty kill, or that the penalty kill guy can't have input on the forecheck or what have you. We sit around. The first thing I did when I got here, and I've done, is we all had individual offices. And I said, nobody's going in their office. We've got a huge table in the middle of the coaching room. We all sit together so that we're not separated. So that when we have a difference or a question of something, it's not get up and go talk to that guy. You just look across his table. And sometimes there's arguments and discussions and blow ups. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's what brings teams together. I think that's what brings coaching staffs together as well. And the other thing is, it's important that the players see when you go through that door into the dressing room that you're as tight a coaching team as you want them to be. Otherwise, the player will go to the assistant coach and go, whatever. I hate that guy, and the assistant coach will go, wait a minute. It's not just Dean. It's the Columbus Blue Jackets coaching staff. That's our philosophy. We've already worked it out. We bring it into you guys.
Yeah, I think that is definitely something that does happen, especially when your head coach is one of those guys that really leans on guys relentlessly. Some guys are more relentless with their commentary than others, and I think that's always the hard part for players when you have the running. You have the Hitchcock commentary, you have the Bruce Cassidy running commentary, like because you come back to the bench and your teammates are whispering in your ears, letting you know, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
you're
He
running to
just
your
mothered you. He just mothered you on the ice, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah, I got it.
and then you're running to the assistant coach, and the assistant coach hears it too. And so then, like, I remember
Yeah.
Kevin Dean, who I loved playing for. I mean, I don't know if you've ever crossed paths with Kevin Dean, but
Yeah.
I mean, he was like our therapist. I mean, he used to have to take the young defensemen out to lunch in the American League one at a time. He would take us to Capitol Grill in Providence and take us to a great meal just to try to like put his arm around us and bring our spirits up, because he knew there was that sort of divide, I guess you could say. And so I think that is one of the things players like. That's what Reamer said. He was like, look, like, I was frustrated at times, but I always knew like I could go in and talk to Dean. It wasn't like I had to run to an assistant coach and have a conversation. Like, I could go face to face and we'd have a great conversation about it. And he always really spoke highly of that and appreciated that.
Well, I think that's an important part, is that it's okay for the players to go to assistant coach and say, "Hey, I don't like what he said to me or what he's doing or whatever." I just think it has to be open and communicated as a staff. So, my staff, Jared Bowl will, go to somebody, or they'll come to him and he'll go like, "Listen, I'm going to talk to Dean about it. Like, we're open. Like, we're not keeping this in the dark or whatever." But there is sometimes, obviously, I was an assistant coach for 8 years in Washington, and then for a bunch of years in Minnesota as well. That you sometimes you have to say to the player, like, "Yeah, I get it. Like, he shouldn't have said that, or he shouldn't have did that, or maybe you could play a little bit more." And I'll go to him and I'll talk to him. But I think the player has to know that it's not going to be, just you talking to me as an assistant coach, and I'm not going to talk about it. You're not going to accomplish anything. If you're pissed off at the head coach, then go talk to the head coach, tell him you're pissed off. And I think a lot of perception, and we had a guy here, Chinnikov, that last summer said that, I don't communicate with him, and, that we should communicate with more, and his agent did. And the first thing when he got here at training camp, I brought him in and I just said, "Listen, we've talked a lot, and just because it's not always me, Jared Bowl or Steve McCarthy or Scott Ford or Mike Havlett, Aaron, they can all talk to you. They're saying the same thing that I'm going to say to you." But my door is always open, and there's a lot of personalities within a locker room. You try to communicate with everybody, but it's tough sometimes, right? There's a lot of personalities in there, but that's why you have to have a really tight staff, I believe, so that your message is all together.
I think based on playing against Jared Bull, he'd be the last guy I'd want to go try to have a conversation with after playing against him in Columbus. He was tough as nails, that guy.
You know what? He is an incredible person. Watching some of those fights, and yeah, I actually put him on the bench, and I don't think management here liked that. I put him on the bench, and I had four guys there, and it was unorthodox. But I thought it was important that his personality was on there, that his fire was on there, that and his communication skills were on there, so that it's firsthand. Sitting up top, you can see the same thing up top as you can see down below. You're just watching different stuff. Like, we all have computers and iPads. We get back to the room and we know when there's a face-off play made. Like, you don't have to be 1,000 miles in the air to see how the face-off play developed. So, but yeah, you're right. When we needed a tough conversation with a player that maybe's playing a little bit soft, it's usually Bowler that went to him.
Yeah, that's great. Knowing the personalities, I have small experience coaching, and it's junior hockey, but I didn't realize how much of coaching is personality management. I had no real concept of that. I had heard that talked about. I thought that's why Jack Parker was one of the best coaches I ever played for, because I think Jack, he managed everybody, every personality he managed everyone differently. He really did. There were non-negotiables, but he understood every player at a different button, and I thought he was great at that.
Well, you don't, and you don't treat every player the same, but you treat every player fairly, right?
Right.
Like I don't, I didn't treat Zach Werenski, like I treat Gabranson. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're different personalities. They're different people. There's different buttons to push, and I always called them touch ups. You always try to have a little touch up every now and then, and it's not in your office either. It's skating around. It's in the meal room. It's maybe on the golf course. Like this past summer, I tried to play with. I love golf. I think it's the perfect time to walk 4 hours with somebody and get to know their personality and open up and talk to them about not hockey but life in general. So yeah, there's so many personalities, but yeah, you've got to manage all of them, and hopefully you do the right things, and the players, they don't have to like you all the time, but they have to respect your decision, and they don't like some decisions, but it's straight up and honest, and they'll deal with it if they can get it that way.
But with that, Dean, and also, first of all, I heard your golf game is not very good from Aaron, so we'll get into that later.
That's
But
bullshit, by the way. But I'm 61 years old and I can still drive it as far as him.
but with what you're saying, like I know we kind of want to talk about this coaching carousel that you've already mentioned, the recycling coaches and whatnot. But it seems like with this world of instant gratification, like that's why the cycle is short, right? Like you're seeing the average time span of an NHL coach be 2.5 years. I mean, I saw that Spencer Carberry is now the 6th longest tenured coach in the
Right.
NHL, and he got hired
Yeah.
3 years ago. But to everything you're saying, like these things take time, right? Like learning about a guy and when to push his buttons takes time. You're not going to figure that out within 2 or 3 months. So I guess, my question for you is, how long does it really take for a head coach to feel fully comfortable knowing all of his players, especially when you got guys being called up, you got guys being traded, you got guys getting signed and free. Like it's a lot going on, and having 2.5 years to figure it out and win a Stanley Cup seems a bit unfair for the league as a whole.
Well, longer than a year and a half when I got fired.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Hit the under,
yeah, honestly, like I've said this before in a couple of podcasts and whatever, like, and I know Rick Bowness has done a great job. He's a great coach. But do I believe that the team was ready to do what they did? Yeah, 100%. Like you don't come in and like it wasn't like it was, he changed every system and every philosophy and what have you. It's just they got a little spark, they got a little tweak, and then they rode it for a while. And but do I think we were on the verge of doing the exact same thing? 100%. I think coaches get too much credit and coaches get too much blame. And but there's nothing you can do about it. Like as Colby said, we were not at the top of the food chain as far as the organization. So decisions get made, different reasons, and you live with it. But as a coach, if you don't go into coaching knowing that you're going to have some disappointments and get fired, then you better not get in this game, right? So
Yeah.
as much as it sucks when it happens and you feel like crap, obviously, and there's a lot that goes into it mentally, like your family and blah 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 and all that kind of stuff. End of the day, it's not who you are as a person, right? It's what I do. I'm a coach. I think I'm a really good coach. I think I'll be a really good coach again somewhere. But it's not what defines me as a person. But I think that's why coaches do get fired. It's easier. It's cliche, but it's easier to fire one guy than in the entire team. And sometimes it's above the coaches what's going on, as Colby mentioned.
Yeah, and
Colby wants to fire the players in Toronto.
Well, because I'm like, listen, if you can't get inspired by Craig Berube, whom I think very, very highly of, then it's you,
Yeah.
it's not him. I mean, I said that I said that a while ago, and people didn't react so well on the internet, and they were like, "You're
It was
an
a great
idiot."
line.
But
It was a great
and I'm
line. Fire
somebody
the
who's
players.
always a
Yeah.
players. Like I generally come to the aid of the players in 98% of situations.
Sure.
But there are times where like you got to be accountable, and like I was when we were talking about, like I just again. Every coach may have
I see
their
your
blind
blood boiling
spots
right now.
or their weaknesses, but like if the players can't get up to play for Craig Berube, if that's even a thing, it's not like yeah, I got a little allergic to that fire Craig Berube conversation pretty quickly. I wasn't a big fan of that. I'm still not a fan of it. I'm sure it's going to happen, unfortunately, but it sort of segues me to a question that I want to ask you. And like Pete DeBoer just gets hired with 4 games to go. Torts gets hired, with a week left in the season. And I know they're totally different situations based on the contracts. And I think, with Torts, it's like, let's date and then we'll talk about maybe moving in together this summer. But with Pete, it's like, hey, here's the keys to the kingdom. What can a coach really accomplish with 4 games to go? Like John Calipari once said on ESPN radio, I heard this 20 years ago, and it always just stuck with me. A coach can make you maybe a team 15% better or 80% worse. That was the numbers that he gave, John Calipari, the old, the legendary basketball coach for the audience is maybe not 100% familiar with who that is. But like, what can Pete DeBoer do? They have a week to go. They're barely in the playoffs 1 second,
They're
barely not in the playoffs the next second.
Right.
So like, what changes with him?
Well, I think it's just that spark, right? It's just that tweak right away that the players are going to get. It's just that you can light that quick fire, right? And then I mean, he's not going to come in and change like the system all around. It would be an absolute cluster there, right? So, you just come in, it's just a different voice. It's like the players all of a sudden, and you guys know as ex-players, I don't care what level you've played at, you always something like that happens, and it's like, holy shit, we better get our stuff together, right? I mean, maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was us. Like we better, pick this up. And then the other thing is you want to play more, right? You got a new coach. You want to play a little bit more. You play a little harder. You do, maybe you block a shot that maybe you didn't block a month ago. In order to be in his good graces. So there's a lot of different factors that go along with that. But yeah, it's a weird year, obviously, with the firings at the end, right? I think I was the first one, but
You're the
right,
trendsetter.
yeah, that's me. Yeah, everybody followed me, right, right to no job. But yeah, I mean, it's a really different year in that regard, for sure.
I kind of want to not sidetrack a little bit. I wanted to ask you like about Alexander Ovechkin, like in his rookie year, like and ask about a certain situation this year with Matthew Schaefer. But I feel like a lot of the talk now is, and you know where I'm going with that. A lot of the talk now is we haven't seen a rookie year like this in a long time with what Matthew Schaefer's done. But you were firsthand to watch Alexander Ovechkin step into the NHL, and he scored 52 goals as a rookie. Like, can you just talk about being an assistant coach with that team and seeing the greatest goal scorer of all time step into the NHL and just like what it was like working with him for, I think 6 years you were there?
I was there 8 as an assistant coach. Yeah, but I think anyway, I don't know. They all blend. But yeah, my first year, I left junior. It was right after the lockout. I got hired by Glenn Hanlon, George McPhee, to be assistant coach. My first year was Alex's first year when he came in.
Wow.
He was such a treat to work with, like just dialed in, just like his work ethic, his desire to win, just everything, like practice. And he lost his way a little bit, 5 years, 6 years in, there was a lot of stuff with his work ethic and what have you. And I think there's a lot of outside influences on him. And then obviously he found his way again and became the leader that he is. He was a great player, but he wasn't the leader, obviously, but he learned to lead, and then obviously led them to a Stanley Cup, and I couldn't have been happier. But he honestly, when he first came in that first year, I remember the goal that he scored in Phoenix. Wayne Gretzky
On
was
Boosh.
coaching. Oh my God, though, like when he like I remember looking over at the bench, and Gretzky was just like looking up at the jumbotron, going like, how did that happen, right? But he scored so many goals in different manner. Like obviously he has the shot, and what he does, he shoots the puck. It doesn't matter. Like there's some guys that won't shoot it unless it's perfectly flat and spinning perfect and whatever. He doesn't give a shit. He shoots it where however and it's going everywhere, and like a knuckleball a lot of times with the curve that he has on his stick. And but he competed, and he got to the he didn't just stay on the outside. He gets to the inside too. He loves to be physical. So yeah, it was a lot of fun that first year. We didn't win a lot of hockey games, but it was a treat to watch him each and every day, not only on the ice but off the ice as well.
I wanted to ask, obviously everyone wants to hear about working with the greatest goal scorer too, but one of the things that happened before you were let go in Columbus was that game
That's
against
why
the
he scores
Islanders.
so much,
And
by the way, is that
because you were
I
running
ran
the
the
PP,
forwards.
you were running the PP.
No, no, I was not.
So the key to this power play is don't move. Whatever you do,
Yeah.
don't move.
Don't move. Just
Don't move.
stand there,
Still.
right on
Yeah.
that dot, and just shoot the thing. Sorry, Johnny, I interrupted you, bro.
No, you're good. I can't imagine. I remember talking to Charlie McAvoy. I went to watch one of his first games of his rookie year because we kind of grew up together a little bit. But like he was playing that left side of the PK, and I was like, "You're playing the Caps like on Tuesday. Like, are you like kind of shitting your pants to have to face a OV one timer?" I can't imagine like being on the the
Yeah.
mock PK in practice for the Caps for like every day having to front an OV one timer. Like that's insane.
Yeah, I ran the PK in different areas and
Yeah.
against
What Boudreaux call
him,
them, the shit
and
bums?
huh?
Didn't Bruce call them the shit bums? The PKers? Or no?
Yeah, I don't know
I
what
have
he
that
called
wrong?
him. Well, no, you probably have it right, but
Mhm.
to actually ask a player to go out there, and as ex-players, it's like, you got to get in that lane. Hey, you freaking crazy? I'm not getting in that lane. He doesn't know where it's going. Forget about like where I don't know where it's, coming from, but so I think that's why you see a lot of teams just plant on him, now. There's a lot of diamond PKs now, so you can actually have a guy over there and look after that a little easier than a traditional box where you got to come out at that. But yeah, it's unique what he does. Obviously, Kucherov does it in the same area.
Mhm.
There's different guys around the league that do the exact same thing. So the game hasn't changed a whole lot. Power plays have not changed a whole lot. There's basically two systems of the 1-3-1 or a spread look. And there's always a guy shooting that puck from that side, and it's quite a commitment to get in front of them, even if it's not Alex Ovechkin.
We had to
Yeah.
during the 11 playoffs. At the end, we would do power play at the end of practice, and Chara was like he
Oh,
had
God.
no regard for our health or safety in practice, especially because our power play didn't score the entire first round of the playoffs. Actually, we were like 0 for like 31 or something in the first round of the playoffs. And Z would just be so like bombing shots in practice, and like as an extra, we carried at that
Yeah.
time. I think we had like 9 or 10 D, so I was one of them, and we would go and we would grab a helmet that the trainers had set up for us with cages or fish bowls just for that, just to throw on during that, because he was shooting the puck and there was no protecting yourself with his shot.
Yeah.
And he wasn't thinking, hey, let's not kill anybody. It was like, no, like we got the Black Aces here. We can kill the. And Z was not, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Chara made sure we got playoff bonuses as Black Aces, which not everybody could say. So I'm not bashing Z. He's a Hall of Fame person. But
Of course. Yeah.
he was like, our
Yeah.
power play stinks. I need to practice like I'm playing. And so he's just
Yeah.
whizzing shots. I'm talking by your head. But I mean, and obviously we know the velocity that he shot the puck with. So
Yeah, he can
I
shoot it.
mean, not a fun time. That like 3 months of playoffs, but obviously fun at the end. But like Z was a mercenary with the way he'd be firing the puck our way in that playoff. So man,
Well,
that's
when I was in Milwaukee, we would the coaches would go up and run the Black Aces in Nashville, and it was a difficult task for those guys, but you have to keep them fresh. I think
yeah.
at the one playoff series where um, Pittsburgh beat Nashville in the finals, was incredible. I think we used every black ace that we had. So you have to keep them ready. So, they're a huge part of the team still, right? And as you said, that's important. And it's awesome to hear guys take care of guys like that,
Yeah.
because the game can get very individual sometimes. And it's good to see and hear leaders like that do that. Johnny,
We
by the way, it was shit
Yeah.
diggers.
Shit
Shit diggers,
diggers.
not
Okay.
shit bums. Yeah, shit diggers.
Okay.
I thought of it,
It just
you get a
clicked.
little old, you forget a little bit, but
So Dean, they
still
were
still
That's
sharp.
hilarious.
they let there was a number of us that got to practice every day, which I think was nice. Like there was in the beginning this big group of guys that skated on their own, and there was a few of
Yeah.
us that were traveling the whole playoffs and actually got to practice. But it was tough. Like at the end of practice every day, we would get either Doug Huda or we prayed it was Doug Huda, not Doug Jarvis, because Jarvie was the nicest man in the world, but his bag skates were just like he murdered us. There was no rest. He did it with a smile, like he was the most pleasant guy to do it with, but
Yeah,
boy,
yeah,
did he
yeah.
kill us in those skates. And like, I mean, we were definitely, we worked hard, we partied hard. The guys were very accepting
Yep.
of that. The coaching staff basically said to us, hey, Claude was like, look, you guys just be ready, have a good time
Yep.
away from the rink, but just make sure when
Yep.
you're here, no distractions, whatever. And they were great. I mean, guys like Char and Recchi, like I said, when I got a direct deposit in I think it would have been in August, and I remember because it was right before the US Open tennis. Because all of a sudden one day I get a bank notification and I'm like, that can't be right. I'm like, we don't get paid in the summer. I wasn't expecting a playoff bonus or a share. And all of a sudden, I'm like, this has to be an error. I'm like, this cannot be right. And
Right,
I'm like, we're going to the US Open. We sat like first row of the Federer, Djokovic,
Sick.
Oh man.
Nadal versus Murray, Federer, Djokovic men's semifinals at the U.S. Open with part of my playoff bonus. So that was a nice thing that I wasn't expecting.
Well, first off, I played with both those guys. Jarvie was my roommate when I was in Hartford, and then I played with Doug Huda as well in Hartford. But the U.S. Open, I've been probably 10,
The best.
15 times, and I saw
Mhm.
Serena Williams last match there. Saw Federer too. Saw Nadal. It's incredible. It's such
Yeah.
a wonderful experience, and I love any live theater. And if that's a sporting event, if it's a Broadway show, the theater scene here in Columbus is fantastic. Going to one in a few weeks called Hadestown. It's amazing. But anything that's live like that, and there's
Mhm.
that human element of air and triumph, it's absolutely amazing.
I'm honestly so happy you said that. Colby and I are actually both big tennis guys. I'm fired up for the French Open coming here in like a month, especially after last year's final. That was sick. But I got to ask you, Dean, since I'm in New York City, that's where I'm from, it's where I live. What is your favorite Broadway show? Would you go and you'd play against the Rangers when you guys were in town? And this is our last question. And thank you so much for the time this morning.
100%. I would go throw my bag into the room and go down to the kiosk and find whatever show. Because I didn't want to book ahead of time because you don't know if you're going to get in or you're not or whatever. And as a single, you can always get stuff. So Phantom of the Opera is as my favorite. I love
Mhm.
Les Mis too. I love them all. And I've basically literally seen them all. And I'm a Yankees fan. So I go every summer. I go to New York and I go to a couple of Yankee games and I go to at least three, four Broadway shows. Absolutely love the
Wow.
city. Love it. So yeah, no, it's a special thing, and that's why I'm excited about going. I think I said at the start, but going to the Derby.
Mhm.
I've never been to the Kentucky Derby. Gonna do that. So taking in all those experiences, it's just life experience, right? It's just it's amazing stuff.
Well,
Is
Dean,
there
the
The
any chance that
positives
you'd
of
have a
getting
beer?
fired.
Is there any chance you'd have a beer with me next time you're in New York? Is that a 0% chance or maybe one?
Well, I don't drink beer, but I'll have a cocktail with you.
Deal.
100
be
Deal.
careful. Be
100%.
careful what you agree to, Dean. Be careful what you agree to. Johnny will be telling
Yeah.
people you're best friends in no time.
Yep. I'm already telling people that. I texted Aaron saying he's my best friend. I feel like I've known him forever.
Yeah, it's all good. That's what it's about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it's
Oh
Yeah.
about.
man. Well, I understand why Javi says what he says about you. He says you'll be friends for life, Dean. So I really appreciate you coming on today. We'll look forward to you getting your next job and making time for us once you get your next job. We'll look forward to that too. All right.
Thanks, guys. I might actually tune in and watch you guys one other time and
All
see
right.
how
We lo-
how like you guys are good with me, but you might not be so good with other guys.
yeah.
Well, we got
Well,
Rupper coming on now. We're gonna ask him the hard ones about the Devils, so you can watch that if you want.
I I will do that. I love him. I loved him as a player. Didn't like him that much in Pittsburgh when I was coaching in Washington, but he played hard every single night, and I love listening to his commentary all the time.
let, let me just ask you quickly here before you go. Would you ever do TV while you're waiting for your next job? Like, would you ever consider doing it?
I've been asked a few times. The last time I got fired, I was asked a bunch to do it. Possibly. It's not something that I want to do.
Got it.
Yeah, but there's a possibility, I guess,
Got it.
down the road. Never say never.
Yeah. Well, I just think of the
Job's a
T.
job.
I think of the TNT panel, and I just feel like with your personality, with that group of guys, like I know, like even Talk was not a TV guy, but when Talk pulled out the whiteboard on
Yeah,
TNT's panel, I never was more focused.
I
When
agree.
Bones did the same thing,
Yeah,
I always want to know what his opinion is. You have
Yeah.
been in those trenches, so I just that's why I asked. Like, you have the personality, and not everybody does. So I just was curious if they could bribe you into coming on for the playoffs for a day or two. I think that would be a treat for all of us.
it's funny you say that, Cole, because I did the same thing. Like when an ex-coach, and Torts too, right? You could see Torts absolutely hated doing it, right?
I
Like
know,
you
but he
could
was
you
great.
could
But
tell.
he was
You could
great.
tell.
Yeah.
But he's great. But like you said, like when Talk brings it out and he's drawn up like this is where he should have been and here. Like, yeah, that's what we do. And it was fresh, right? So everything was, right there. So I completely agree with you. But not in the near future.
Got it. All right, fair
I'm still
enough.
getting paid.
That's true. That's true.
Mhm.
Mailbox money, baby. Enjoy it.
That's why I'm going to the Derby.
That's right.
Yeah.
We love it. We
Enjoy
love
it.
it.
Enjoy
all
it.
right, Dean.
Thank you,
Thanks
Dean.
so much. Enjoy the
Thank you
Derby.
guys.
Appreciate it.
Really
All
appreciate
right.
it. All right.